Jaylon Johnson reiterates his point. He wants to be in Chicago as a Chicago Bear. It's me, Bobby. I got Stevo here with me and Big Kev, bringing y'all the latest news for your Chicago Bears. We're going to jump into it, but you got to hear the music first.
Tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of Chicago Bears Central. I'm Bobby. I'm here with Stevo and Big Kev. First off the top, y'all can go ahead and make sure you follow the show on all social media platforms at Chi Bears Central. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Fellas, we know that Jaylon Johnson and Ryan Poles did not get a deal done earlier this season, and Jaylon Johnson said he's going to come out and be a professional. I think that the value of Jaylon Johnson has increased. You know what I'm saying? He requested that trade. It didn't happen. Ryan Poles said he needed that first round pick. But now, this man with 2 interceptions later, excellent play later, he deserved that contract. But how y'all feeling about Jaylon Johnson pretty much coming out here said that he wants to be a Chicago Bear? Let's go ahead and start off with Stevo.
He should be want to be here. I mean, everybody he came in the league with, for the most part, still here, and now he's gaining newfound in chemistry with the new teammates that he's gained, from Montez Sweat to Tremaine to TJ to all those Kyler. It's all those people he's gaining a new chemistry with, and that's what you want to do when you see something forming into something good. You want to keep them all together, but we always said like we wanted to keep him here, but at the money that he wants that's the key of this whole thing. We all know that he sees himself as one of the best corners in the league, and up to now, he hasn't really shown it to that degree to wanting upwards of 20 plus to $20 million a year. And Jair Alexander got the biggest contract, which is like what 84 over 4, like something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like he'll be getting 11 next year and like 15 after that, something like that. So when you start talking about that money, everybody knows when it comes to that position, they're going to look at turnovers. We got everything else. You're going to be in the upper echelons of getting paid of the tight end just off your production now. But when it comes to getting that big money, that big guaranteed money, it comes to your turnovers. And up to now, like I just said, we wasn't seeing it. Now we're starting to see it. And let alone some of the ones he dropped. If he would have got them, it for sure would have secured the bag of now being in this conversation, given the contract that he's been seeking for.
For sure. Big Kev, what you got
I
for
mean,
us?
first of all, yes, of course he should want to stay here. There's a familiarity aspect of it. The Chicago Bears defense as a whole is playing really, really good football. And you want to be a part of a unit like this moving forward. This is the best Bears defense that we've seen since Vic Fangio was the defensive coordinator. He got 4 interceptions this season, and frankly, he should have like 7, 8 of them. He dropped a few of them, but them 4 were very important. 2 of them versus the Detroit Lions as well. So you can't be mad at that. Teams don't even throw the ball to his side. If you look at his stats, he definitely is a what you consider a shutdown corner or an island player, as it were, like with Darrelle Revis Island. So he's worth the Bears negotiating with. I'm not sure if it's in that $20 million range that he wants, but he got 3 more games to go out there and show us what he's trying to do. And if he can put it together, he'll be a Chicago Bear next year.
Me personally, I believe that the Bears need to make sure they get this done, and I think that he should go ahead and understand that they trying to build something. So hopefully, I'm not saying give us the Walmart discount on Black Friday, but give us a hometown discount. You know what I'm saying? I think that Hayes mapped out a good contract that I feel like will be feasible for Jaylon Johnson. He said he'll give him a deal that averages 18 and a half per year plus incentives. That'll get him, if he hit those benchmarks, that'll get him get him at or over 20 million. And I think that's fair in my opinion. But I think that when he going out and saying that he wants to be a Chicago Bear, you have to figure out how you can get this done. The man is still only 24 years old with a lot of football left in him. You still building out this team. And I know it might be some other players that you can look at and say, hey, this guy can potentially replace him. But as of right now, I'd rather have for sure things on this team than questions. So how y'all feeling about the contract what Hayes kind of laid out with the 18 and a half with plus the incentives? Start with Big Kev.
I mean, it makes sense. Go out there and earn it. If in all of sports, football is the one sport where you really got to go out there and prove that you're gonna do what you say you do. You earn. Now, let's not act like Jaylon Johnson hasn't earned the right to re-sign with this team,
Facts.
because he has. He's earned that right. But the money is always gonna be the problem in the NFL. So
Yep.
go out there and earn it. Hit those benchmarks. Hit those situations where we say, okay, well, you got 5 interceptions. You forced 3 fumbles, whatever they put into the contract. Go out there and do it so you can get that extra bread.
Stevo.
Yeah, like I think like as of now, I'm looking towards it. But like to be quite honest, like I'm 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 looking at like Zaire and what his production was when he got his contract extension. And to be quite honest with you, he's not that far off. Like he really not. I think the year he got it, he had 5 interceptions. You just said he got four, and he got 3 more games to go. And two of those games is not against the best offenses, so it's definitely possible. So, and then you going up against even in the last game a very pass heavy team. They run the ball, but it's you're going up against a lot of team that did a lot of boot action, so you should be right up prepared for Green Bay Packers. So it's a lot of opportunities for him to make that money. So 18 as of now looks nice, but he close to what he's desiring in terms of what he wants.
I'm looking at Jair Alexander, and I think that's a good comp too, Steve-O, because this is a guy who came on the scene and did his thing for the Green Bay Packers. But as of lately, he's been dealing with a lot of injury. But when you look at the
Mhm.
contract, to me, it seemed like, correct me if I'm wrong, when the teams get the guarantee money, gives guarantee money, typically that comes up front, right?
Yeah, it is up front.
Right. So basically, if you're looking at the numbers for him and you talk about his contract, this season he only making 1.8 million
Yep,
a base salary with a signing bonus that was 6
6.
million, and then the base salary next year will go up to 6.6, and then in 2025 16 million, and then 26 million. So it seemed like they gave a lot of money up front just to make room for other guys, and then at the back end of the contract, that's when you really see that increase of the
Hmm.
base salary, with the last year being 18.1 million. I think that's a solid deal. And now I
Yeah.
think that when you look at Ryan Poles and how he GMs, you can go ahead and say, hey, this is something that might be in Poles' plan. We're going to give him the money up front. Then the base salary won't hit so hard towards the cap. And we should be able to be okay, because if you look at DJ Moore contract, for an example, his is front heavy. It drops off towards the end of that contract. I
Hmm.
don't know. I think that's solid though.
I think it's solid too. Like I said, when you look at somebody of his, he's going. I feel like that's the guy he's going to compare himself most in negotiation when he comes to it, because their status is not too much different, and you can honestly argue that when it comes to covering, he's better.
Right.
So like he can argue that. So but when it comes to explosive plays, it's Jair. But like I
Right.
said, it comes that's what gets you that knock over where you can have that type of contract where it's fun heavy beginning and then it's heavy in the back end. So it could work out and the way, and that's why, like you said with Ryan Poles, that's why he set up a lot of the signings from TJ, from like you just said, Tremaine as well. They're both of their contracts is very front heavy. So now that you did that, now you can give somebody like a Jaylon Johnson a back heavy contract, and it won't affect you that hard.
Right. Kev, before you go, quick question. Answer the question that was just asked. You know what I'm saying? How you feeling about that comparison to Jay Alexander? But if it doesn't come down to the money, would you franchise tag Jaylon Johnson, bro?
So the first question, yes, he's definitely comparable to Zaire Alexander. I hate to even give any type of credit to a Green Bay
That's fair.
Packer, but
Bro.
it is what it is. He's definitely comparable. They both have their strengths and weaknesses, and Jaylon Johnson is not wrong in looking at Zaire's contract and thinking I should get something comparable. But
Right.
if it does come down to it, because let's be honest, it's looking like the Bears are leaning toward keeping Justin Fields. They probably going to, but they can still pick up his option, right? His 5th year
His fifth
option.
year,
They don't
yeah,
have to pick up the 5th year option until May
May,
2nd.
Right. I'm just saying, like, before it all goes to
yeah.
Mhm.
hits the
Like
fan.
he
Yeah.
and in the longest round, we got him the next 2 years.
Right.
Right.
If they pick up his option, we got him two
Yeah.
more seasons. But then they're gonna be looking at him too and other players as well. So yeah, if it come down to the money, franchise him. I listen, man. The NFL is a cutthroat business, bro. And I hate the fact that these guys literally put their lives and bodies on the line. A few weeks out the year for our entertainment, and they still got to work twice as hard as other sports to get their money. But it
Facts.
is what it is. This is the sport that they play. And if you want to play hardball, the ownerships and managers and GMs gonna play hardball too.
For sure. And I want y'all to hit his last piece before I go. So we did the daily episode that we dropped earlier, and I pretty much came out and said the reason, at least part of one of the reasons that Jaylon Johnson, now you starting to see the turnovers, is due to the fact he's probably playing in the best defense in his entire career thus far. And now the Bears defense can lean on the defensive line that allows him to do a little bit more. What's y'all thoughts on that? Whoever want to take it first.
That's facts. When your front four is getting pressure, a la Lovie Smith in the cover two, the year they went to the Super Bowl, and pretty much the whole time Lovie Smith was here, really, they were able to generate turnovers because Tommy Harrison then was wreaking havoc
Right.
on quarterbacks and running backs and running people over. So it's the same thing. Right now, when that quarterback got to get rid of the ball just a second earlier, a half a second earlier, a half a second late, it's creating opportunities not just for him, but for Stevenson, for all of them out there. So it's good to see that the Bears are putting together a defense that's worth having a player who was a few weeks ago saying that he wanted to be traded, now saying that he wants to be back.
Fact.
Mm-hmm.
Steve-O.
Yeah, like that's what it is when it comes to football. Like, bro, regardless, especially when it comes to the scheme of being cover two, pressure is always going to generate having the best output of your cornerbacks, because therefore when you do it that way, you can, when you know for sure that you can get a certain type of pressure, therefore you can now discover and disguise coverages, which we really couldn't do in the beginning of the season because we wasn't getting we was getting pressure but we weren't getting home. Now the threat of that, now we could get home, it messes up the timing, because if he just hang on that ball just a bit longer, now I could bait him because I didn't disguise this. So now that's what a lot of his picks is coming from, because he's in that disguise coverage and they don't see him, and then he just come out of nowhere, interception, and
Right.
that's what happens. So it's very, like, don't get me wrong, dude ain't Darrell Reeves. Like, it's very few Darrell Reeves that's like, no matter what he going to get that ball. Like, it's very few. Most cornerback success is based off pressure, and
Yep.
most secondary success is based off pressure. So it
Facts.
is what it is. It goes hand in hand.
It does go hand in hand, and that's why we say football is the ultimate team sport, because if one player is out of position, it can screw up everything, literally, on both sides of the ball. But hey, that's it from us, man. I don't know if y'all got any final thoughts before we roll out.
Yes, sir. Check us out live. Chicago Bulls versus the Lakers with the Cognac Boys. See Dub and Bobby over on Shy Bulls podcast later tonight. You dig?
Bro. But definitely do that. Make sure you follow the show on all social media platforms at Shy Bear Central. If you want to call in and leave your take on this or anything else that we previously discussed, call in 773-242-9336. Appreciate y'all, man. Make sure y'all do what it do. And as we always end it, Chicago up and better fuck down.
Yeah.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.